Dr. Latifat is a practicing gastroenterologist in Sacramento, California, and the host of the podcast MoneyFitMD.
I had one goal, and my goal was to be a good doctor.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I found that that was not the truth. Burnout is just a huge problem with physicians in the physician community, having the burden of the bills and debt and not having assets outside of our clinical income. You have to be clear about your boundaries, block out that time that is for you. I actually don't believe any physician should be working 100%, because when you have the wrong expectations, you may be surprised and then shut down and not actually progress. Women physicians found out that for the same specialty, the same work hour, getting paid $80,000 less. So number one thing is you cannot be delegating your money to someone else. Pull out your calendar right now and just block out an hour a week. That's it. An hour a week is all you need.
In each episode, we dwell into the realms of wellness, exploring the latest trends, expert advice, and practical tips to help lead you a happy, healthier life. We aim to bring a broader perspective to our American audience on issues that impact your daily life by interviewing guests from the US and around the world. From nutrition and fitness to mental well-being and beyond, we're here to empower you with knowledge and inspiration. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, revamp your diet, or simply trying to find a balance in your lifestyle, you're at the right place. Join us as we embark on a journey towards a better, brighter you. I'm your host, Dr. Amir Khan, and together let's unlock the secrets to living life to its fullest. For years, physicians have been told that hard work and dedication will lead always to financial stability. But is that really true? Despite their salaries being in the higher bracket, many doctors struggle with debt, burnout, and of course, financial uncertainty. Today, we're going to uncover the secrets of financial wellness for physicians and how they can take control of their money, obviously without stress. Welcome to another Inside episode of KhanKlinics. Today, we have an extraordinary guest who is not only a skilled physician, but also a financial empowerment coach for physicians. She has transformed the way women in medicine approach wealth, success, and of course, financial independence. Join us as we dive deep into the journey, her mission, and her wisdom she shares through her work and publication. Dr. Latifat Akintade. Dr. Latifat is a practicing gastroenterologist in Sacramento, California. She's the author of the Amazon bestseller Done with Broke, The Woman Physician's Guide to More Money and Less Hassle. Founder of MoneyFitMD, a platform dedicated to empowering women physicians with financial education, and the host of the podcast MoneyFitMD, where she shares her strategies for financial success in medicine. Dr. Latifat, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me here. I feel incredibly honored. And I have to say, every word that you said there felt like it pierced my heart a little bit. And I
Mhm.
think the reason why is because there's so much work that's already been done, but there's so much more work that needs to be done when it comes to physicians and wellness, because physicians being well affects not only doctors, but affects the entire community. So I'm reminded that I still have work to do. So thank you for reminding me about that.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have us. So why don't we dip right into it and ask you what inspired you to take on this journey and to become you were a physician full time and then the entrepreneur course.
Absolutely. I had no plans of doing any of this. In fact, 10 years ago, if you told me that this was going to be my life, I would have said that is funny because I did not like talking in front of people. I did not know anything about money at all. I did not know the basics, what a 401k was. I did not know how much I was earning or how much I owed. And the reason why was not because I was stupid, it was because I had one goal, and my goal was to be a good doctor. I
Mhm.
migrated to this country over 25 years ago, and at that point, the goal was for me to be a hardworking physician. And the understanding or unspoken expectation was that when you mind your business and do your job and become the best doctor you could be, the money would take care of itself. You don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about that kind of stress. Your job is just to take care of the patients.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I found that that was not the truth. I did everything right. I followed the recipe that I was given, but I looked into my future and I could just get a sense of the fact that I was heading towards burnout. And I know that your audience are very, very diverse. But for those that may not know, like burnout is just a huge problem with physicians in the physician community. And I knew that if I was not practicing medicine in a way that was free, in a way where I could be the best doctor without worrying about finances, that
Mhm.
I was going to hate medicine. And so my journey to my own financial education was really a journey to saving my own life in future where I could practice medicine for as long as I could without worry and without stress. So my own personal journey started from there. But what
Wow.
I realized was that I was not the only person struggling with money. I thought I was the only one because we don't talk about our struggles, right? We talk about patient cases, we talk about the call, but we don't talk about finances. But what I found was many other people, and not just women, but also men, were struggling with the same issue. Smart, hardworking people saving lives every day, but going back home and having the burden of the bills and debt and not having assets outside of our clinical income. So I started teaching people what I was learning. I was teaching my friends, and they started making changes. They were paying off their debt. Their net worth was growing. They were negotiating differently. And that's when I realized that, okay, I had a way of teaching this that was making a difference, but still, I did not want to be an entrepreneur because I just wanted to be a doctor. That was it.
Sure.
And then the pandemic happened. And I
Mm.
don't know if you remember this, but very early in the pandemic, nobody knew what to do about this virus. And so
Mhm.
hospitals were worried about money. They were firing doctors, they were firing nurses because it's like, well, we're not going to have patients come in. And what that meant was now a different layer of stress than we had been familiar with in the past. And that was the moment where I was like, I was not worried about money. The people that I'd already taught were doing well. And I very reluctantly entered the journey of entrepreneurship so that I could reach more people and help more people practice medicine without worrying about money.
Excellent. Thank you for explaining that. It's very enlightening. Now, walk us through a little bit through your journey. I know you, what is the difficulties you started to encounter initially, and how did you overcome them?
One of the biggest challenges that I had to encounter was my own cultural expectations about money.
Mhm.
Again, when you want to do good, most times we're taught to do good and not talk about money. So there were times when I felt like a bad person, to be honest with you, talking about finances, asking, negotiating, asking why I was getting paid what I was going to be getting paid. So I had to overcome my own internal barriers that for many of us are the results of culture that we may have grown in. So that was a big one for me. The other one was when I got started, I realized that what people talk about is budgeting, budgeting. And I really, really quickly realized that I actually don't like traditional budgeting. I didn't love math. I don't love spreadsheets. And so it felt like I was doomed for failure. So I had to kind of figure out how can I do this? How can I still reach the outcome that I wanted, even if I did not like budgeting or spreadsheets? So that was the second challenge that I had to overcome, which is how to create a spending plan when you hate traditional budgeting and finances. And then the other thing as well is simplifying finances for myself. I don't know about you, but as physicians, many of us were used to memorizing. In med school, we learned about every renal pathway and channelopathies. And so I
Mhm.
came to finances with the same energy. I thought I had to memorize every lingo before I could take action, right? And what I had to realize and learn was that, okay, maybe I don't need to know every single lingo. And what is the most important is actually taking action as opposed to waiting to become an expert before taking action. And for physicians, that's not the way we've been trained. You better know what you're talking about and be very, very confident before you even get started. So it almost felt like doing things opposite of how I had been taught how to do it. But in order to be financially successful, sometimes we have to do things differently than we've been
Yes.
taught to in order to make progress.
Excellent. And thank you for highlighting that. There's a huge taboo in the medical community. We're not supposed to talk about money because we're just so dedicated to our patients, and everyone expects us not to mix the two, and that makes perfect sense. And then we're all about no maths. We don't want to make calculations. We don't want to like do any predictions, or it's all about just focusing on. And you just brilliantly highlighted that I'm sure it's very difficult starting from there, educating people. Hey, that's not the course you want to take. I want to just touch on another topic very close to all of us, and that's being a woman and being an entrepreneur and then going on this journey. So, would you enlighten our viewers what sort of challenges as a woman you encounter, which I'm sure are different than your male counterparts?
That's a really kind and considerate question to ask. And
Mhm.
I think it just points to the fact that you're very in touch with your audience, which again, you have a diverse audience that you do serve. And I'm going to answer this for the person that's listening right now and thinking that their shortcomings are a problem. You know, for many years, I thought, okay, number one is a woman talking about money,
Yeah.
a Black woman talking about money,
Hmm.
right? In medicine, a mom talking about money. I care about disparities. Someone that cares about disparities talking about money. And all of those factors were things that I thought actually were disadvantages for me. You know, when I first started speaking on stages, I would go into rooms and I may be the only person that looks like me in the room on the stage. And it was hard.
Yeah.
But one thing that I reminded myself was it may be hard for me, but it's my job and my responsibility to make it easier for those coming behind me. So, for your audience, everything that feels like a disadvantage is not to keep you away. It's the exact reason why you should. So, maybe for you, maybe there's someone in your audience that's interested in having a business where there's no Muslim physician or Muslim woman or whatever it is, like what that is that makes you stand apart, may be the reason why you need to do it. So, for me, as a Black woman, physician that loves medicines, cares about humans, cares about disparities, I am exactly the right person to talk about money. So again, the things that we traditionally think keeps us out of the room is exactly why you have no choice but really to be in the room.
Excellent. That's a brilliant answer, and I appreciate that. You've highlighted how faith, your race, and then on top of that, your gender. How could that be a challenging journey? So thank you for just highlighting on those aspects of them. I just want to touch on now. You're on this journey, and you're encountering a balance, work-life balance, being a mother, of course, and then mental health, which is big on our list, and especially doctors who face a lot of burnout. How did you navigate, and what of the rules sort of you set for yourselves to say, this is what I'm going to adapt, and this is what I'm going to teach my juniors, audience, or other entrepreneurs?
You know, boundaries is really, really important.
Mhm.
And the way that I've thought about boundaries is I decide for myself the things that are the most important to me, and those have to go on my calendar first. And it's not only about your calendar, it's about your calendar, meaning your time, but it's about your energy. It's also about your attention. As a busy physician, it's not uncommon to not be at work, but still thinking about work, even when you're in the midst of your family, right? In that regard, you have time, but your attention is missing, right? So it is really, really important to understand that you have to be clear about your boundaries, block out that time that is for you. If you're in front of your family, decide that I'm going to be present with the people that I'm present with at this moment. And then this is really, really important. The times that you've decided to serve and work, you have to do that diligently and excellently.
Sure.
So, for example, Thursday afternoons, my clients know that I'm not available. My family knows that I'm not available. They know
Right.
that if they have an emergency, I'm not the one to call because my phone is on do not disturb on Thursday afternoons. I'm resting, I'm praying, I'm like whatever I need to do. to be well, right? So creating well boundaries is so important. The other thing that I want to point to is for those that are physicians, I actually don't believe any physician should be working 100%. And the reason why is because our 100% is like 150% outside in the world. So you have to take care of yourself. You have to block out your time. You have to create boundaries. But the times that you've decided to work, you have to serve diligently. You have to serve and be the, it doesn't even matter what you do. You're a physician, you're not a physician. Act like you're serving God. Act like you would want your mother's doctor to be at the time that you've been there, so that when you're not there, you're like, I've done my part and now I'm no longer available. So those are some of the things that is so important when it comes to mental health and wellness for us as physicians. And of course, the time that you are working, you want to make sure that you're earning what you should be earning. That means make sure that you're negotiating. It's interesting that you pointed out women, because what happens is when you have an average of what the pay scale should be, many women will go for the average. Many men will not go for the average. They're going to go for the top, right?
Sure.
And so we have to learn to start getting comfortable, being uncomfortable as we're asking for appropriate payment for the value that we're giving. That way, you're making qualitatively good money for the time that you are serving and giving value.
Excellent. So I think that's a brilliant point. You talked about time distribution. I think that's the sort of the stepping stone for you to be financially independent. And you rightly or very nicely highlighted how I set my boundaries and I set my limits and expectations, I guess, for people to know, hey, guys, I'm not available right now. It's my time, or this time is for my patients. I'm not available. So I think that you very nicely highlighted. So just coming on your topic of where you started off from being financially independent, and you've just now highlighted the first sort of tool for it, or I'd say second after the time distribution for busy physicians and practitioners. The second thing you just highlighted is negotiation and skills. What would you advise to people who are not comfortable? I know you said, and where would they start from acquiring this skill? Because this is definitely not something that is taught in medical schools. It's something you're going to learn practically. How would you go about telling someone, hey, these are your tips for you? You're going to start. This is a necessary tool.
Absolutely. The first step is I would let you expectations do matter, because when you have the wrong expectations, you may be surprised and then shut down and not actually progress. So the first step is you're doing something you've never done before. So you're not going to be comfortable. I still remember the first time I did a colonoscopy, I was stuck in the sigmoid forever.
Yeah,
Forever.
yeah,
The first time I checked blood pressure on a patient or pulse, every time you do something for the first time, the expectation is that it will be uncomfortable,
sure.
because when you're comfortable, that's a status quo, but you're trying to create something different. So expect discomfort. You will
Mhm,
feel greedy. You will
mhm.
feel like, am I the only one that is asking for money? Your brain is going to come after you, but don't quit until you become the person that can ask for what you want. And the way
Excellent.
that I tell people is we want to have more conversations around this. It's not unusual for you to be working and have no idea what your colleague is getting paid. I've had physicians, women physicians, found out that for the same specialty, the same work hour, getting paid $80,000 less per year than the counterpart. And the reason they were told was you did not ask, right? So I will give you an example. Today, I was having a conversation with someone about money and finance and negotiation. And I asked him straight out, I said, I want to make sure that we're clear that just know you're going to get great value. I'm going to take care of your patients, multiple accolades and all of that to prove it. And it is important to me that I, as a woman and as a Black woman in medicine, that I'm not underpaid for the work that I'm doing. So letting people know that you will do a great job and you have to be paid well. That is important. Looking up the data, right? Looking up the data. What are physicians getting paid in your region for that same specialty? Again, many times women will go for the average, but I always like to ask, there's a human at the top, there's a human at the bottom. Why are you shooting for the middle? The person at the top doesn't have two heads, right? You can, as long as you know that you're going to provide great value, that's the most important thing. Go ahead and ask. The worst you could get is no. And you're not going to die if someone tells you no. but you may end up not getting underpaid. I literally had a woman physician recently who, for 10 years, her pay was not increased. 10 years. And now she's been able to get an offer for $120,000 more per year.
Whoa.
Per year, right? These things make a huge difference because if nothing else changes, if you don't change your spending, if all you have is this new delta of $120,000 and you invest in that every year, it changes the game of your future in terms of the amount that you will have in your nest egg, the amount you could potentially be passing on to your kids, the amount you can have to give. That's something that I think is so important because giving is a great thing. Money in your hands is a great thing. And there are going to be causes that are important to you that may not be important to me. But that still means that you, as the person that enjoys those things and values those, it's now that money becomes a tool in your hand for which you can also do good in the world. So I actually think that being underpaid is not just not a good thing, it's actually almost morally wrong for you to accept being underpaid because the people that you could be serving with the extra money that you now have are not going to be served because you could not afford to be uncomfortable for 5 minutes for their sake.
Excellent. So thank you, Dr. Latifat, for explaining that. So your message is you're be uncomfortable. That's not a bad zone to be in because it's just a stepping stone. Do your homework. Go prepared. I guess look at the data. That's brilliantly said, and keep on doing your research while you're at job. Make yourself aware of what's going around and what's happening, so you're equipped for the new changes and stuff. So I get that. I think that's very brilliantly said. I know you talked about a few things, especially training private physicians, and a lot of mistakes they make. Tell us some of the things that they should avoid. And this is something that you've highlighted as well. Could you explain our audience a little? What are the things they shouldn't be doing?
Absolutely. Number one mistake, or one of the common mistakes I see people making, is avoiding conversations around money. People want to delegate to someone else. They want to delegate to a financial advisor. They want to delegate to a spouse. They want to delegate to anybody else but them. And that is a mistake because we're spending so many hours working every day. And literally, the reward for the work that you spend in your life on, you're not being the CEO of that. So number one thing is you cannot be delegating your money to someone else. I made the same mistake early in my journey. I thought a financial advisor was going to be the only solution to my problem, only to find out that they were making decisions that was not the best for me. Right? So that's something to make sure that you guys are aware of. The number two thing, that mistake that people make, is they tell themselves, I will invest if I have money left at the end of the month. And that is a huge mistake because there's never a lack of things to spend on. I know you have kids, I have kids, they're cute, but their expenses does not go down, right? So the important thing is if you're telling yourself that I will invest if I have money left, you may not actually have money left. And I've seen too many physicians at the end of their career that are struggling because now they don't have enough to retire on. And so the solution to that problem is invest in yourself first. If you're a W-2 physician, many times your taxes will get taken out before you even get your paycheck because the government is like, you pay us first. If the government is smart enough to say pay us first, I think you're more valuable than the government. So you should be paying yourself first too, right? So making sure you're deciding every month what percentage of your income you want to invest or how much per month you want to invest. And many times people are like, what is the ideal number? What's the number I'm shooting for? Just start better than you did last month. If you were investing $1,000 last month, invest $1,500 this month, right? So it's not about being perfect about what you're doing. It's about making progress. So invest. That is actually the number one thing that I teach my women physicians, and it makes the hugest difference. It's not how to budget perfectly. It is how to invest more, because the more you invest, your money now starts to work for you, outside of you exchanging your time for money all the time clinically. That way, if something was to happen to your work, even if you own your own practice or you're a W-2 worker, if something happens, you're not devastated. I literally saw a post today. Someone said, I'm so burnt out that I put in my 90-day notice. And now I'm worried that I'm going to be unemployed and homeless in a couple of months. That should not be happening. So if you invested for years right now before you burned out, it's protecting your future stuff. And I think that's a gift that we should all be giving ourselves.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for that tips, and I think a lot of for those who want to know more, obviously done with being broke, I guess, for doctors, and then your MoneyFitMD podcast, two places to go and ask more questions. You're there available. You talk about Dr. Latifa, financial confidence. Tell us, how is that different from being financially independent, and does it matter?
Oh, it does matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the same. If you look at your fellows, right, as an ICU doc, you look at your fellows that you're maybe teaching how to do, an airline, right? They need your assistance to watch them. They've already done the basics of like understanding the human body and all that stuff. But now, the more they do, the more confident they become. They don't wait to become confident to start. They may need mentorship. They need observation. They need sort of like a mentor to walk them along. But the more you do it, the more confident you will be, right? I mean, again, the first time I did my own tap and the belly tap parasympathesis, I was like, oh my goodness, am I going to kill this person? I wasn't confident when I started, but
Mm-hmm.
I had to do it anyway. And so financial confidence is what people want. They want to have no fear when it comes to making moves. But that is only earned after you've been able to make moves despite fear. So confidence is what you get over time, but you don't get that at the beginning. You get that with more practice. So start making small moves that will make you more confident to make money moves. And like you mentioned with financial independence, in the correct terminology of it, there is it's 25 times your yearly expense. And that's the magical number that people quote, at which point you believe you can retire. I have some thoughts about that, but confidence versus independence is that everybody needs to build their confidence, but confidence is the reward you get for taking action. It's not what you get before you take action, just like our fellowship and residency training show us.
So it's basically, you're saying it's a no fear attitude. You're going to develop it over a period of time, take small steps, build towards being confident later on, because the more you're going to invest, the more you're going to know the pathway. So that's very nicely put by you. I guess that's really nice. I want to go to one other question that is very relevant, and that is, we touched upon earlier, what would be the differences, or what would you tell your women physicians who are in the same boat? How can they become financially confident? And are there any nuances or adjustments that they have to make along the course? Because business, let's be honest, is not something that they do on a routine basis, and there's going to be more challenges than men understanding.
We all definitely have our challenges. Men have their challenges, women have challenges. It's funny, my podcast is to women physicians. I probably get more messages from men, actually. They're like, we love your podcast. We know you're talking to women, but it's helping us. And I think it's the doing money or speaking about money with kindness is what people are looking for. We all want to be, we're not stupid. So I talk to my audience like someone that knows and understands that they're incredibly smart, but this is just the language that we're all learning, right?
Mhm.
And so one of the things that I would say is, and I think this will help your audience, and this applies with money, applies with entrepreneurship, and anything else that they're trying to accomplish.
Mhm.
There is them, there is you, and there is the thing you're trying to do. And what causes us the most anxiety is usually because we've had a thought about the future that is a negative expectation. So we're thinking in future, something bad is going to happen if I do this. Something negative is going to happen. So that makes it all feel overwhelming and we get anxious about doing that thing. And it's usually because we've deflated ourselves and we've inflated the problem. So literally we feel like little ants that are trying to climb a mountain. And so what I always tell people is the truth is you want to be honest with who you are, which everyone that is listening right now, I don't care what you do, as long as you can figure out how to find a podcast on YouTube, you can run a business, and you can do money. So just get up and be who you truly are, which is like amazing, powerful. You're made by God to do amazing work in this world. And number two is the problem you're trying to encounter is there's nothing that is too big for you. So stop blowing it up into like a huge mountain. So make yourself bigger and make the problems smaller. And you will be able to overcome that mountain. And that is the same whether it's entrepreneurship. I've had to learn how to talk to humans on video and in person. You should see the first video that I made. Dr. Khan. Like the first time that I recorded myself on my podcast, it was so bad that my sisters had to call me and they were like, "We saw you did a video. That's nice, but now let's talk about your eyebrows and the light quality and all of that stuff." But
Right,
again, I figured it out by
right,
starting. So
right.
start. You've done amazing things. There's literally nothing that you cannot accomplish as long as you have the right attitude, you ask for help, and you seek those that have already done it, because now they become examples and evidence of the fact that it can actually be done.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. It's always an insight, women knowing, hey, there's a bit of failures in the beginning, but then your course will find, you'll find your course and things starts falling in place. If it is for that they're smart and they can do it. So we got to just, like you said, kindness is the word you use, and encouragement, I guess, is the second word. So brilliantly said. Thank you for sharing. I want to ask you this one question, and that is, what would you think would be the top habits that you think you would share with you, the physicians that are listening? And I say in simple terms, hey guys, guys and girls, let's start doing these little things, and it's like a little message from Dr. Latifa.
Absolutely. So the first thing that I want you to do is just pull out your calendar right now, because I know that you're like, "I'm busy. I don't have time for money. I don't have time to learn." I want you to pull out your calendar right now and just block out an hour a week. That's it. An hour a week is all you need. And it could be on a Saturday when your kids are watching TV. That's okay. It could be after they've gone to bed. Just bring out your calendar, block out an hour, and call it your CEO hour. And this is a time where you have to look at anything at all related to your money. Meaning, how much are you actually earning? How much did you earn last year? How much did you pay in taxes? Out of the money you earned last year, what percentage of it was towards eating out, eating in, investing? Right? Literally, how much did you spend to have fun?
Sure.
Some people actually don't enjoy their time. Like life needs to be, it's a balance, right? So just looking at what your money is doing right now is the most important thing that you can create when it comes to habit. But that's not one thing. You asked me for one. And number one is going to be the awareness of where your money is currently going, and then where you want your money to go in future. Everybody wants to build wealth, but most people are not willing to make the moves that makes that happen. And it doesn't happen overnight. 1 hour a week. That's literally all you need. That's literally all you need in order to create the financial life that you want.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. And you said adjusting your calendar and making sure you're putting that hour in. Dr. Latifa, thank you very much. We're just so honored to have you sharing your wisdom, your insights with us today. We wish you the best, of course, with your book. Done with being broke. I'm saying done with being broke, but done with broke. And then MoneyFitMD.
Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you for the work you do. And for all of your audience, I mean, you guys have Dr. Khan. It's evidence that we can learn multiple things and you can succeed at the things you put your heart to. So thank you for the work you do in the world as well.
Thank you. Pleasure is ours. And to our amazing audience, if you found this conversation valuable, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to KhanKlinics for more enlightening discussions. Until next time, stay empowered and take control over your financial future. Thank you very much, all.